Shalom family. In today's video, we'll be taking a look at Jeremiah 23 verses 5 to 6, and today's title is Jeremiah 23 5 to 6 is not about JC again. Specifically, we find that these are the verses Christians and the Hebrew Messianic community draw their references from when reading from the King James Version in order to quote-unquote prove that it's talking about JC or Yahawashi. And it reads, Behold, the days come, saith Yahoo, that I will raise unto David a righteous branch, and a king shall reign and prosper, and shall execute judgment and justice in the earth. In his days Yahudah shall be saved, and Yasharal shall dwell safely, and this is the name whereby he shall be called Yahoo, our righteousness. However, let's look at the context of what was said leading up to these verses, and we get back to the document. So we're going to take a look at the Septuagint, okay? And the Septuagint was written in the 3rd century BCE. It was the first time that the Tanak, aka the Old Testament, was transferred into another language, the Greek language. So verse 1 of Jeremiah 23 says, Woe to the shepherds that destroy and scatter the sheep of their pasture. Therefore thus saith Yahoo against them that tend my people. You have scattered my sheep, and have driven them out, and you have not visited them. Behold, I will take vengeance upon you according to your evil practices. So Yahoo had a controversy against the leaders of his people, taking disadvantage of his people, aka the sheep of his pasture. So verse 3 says, And I will gather in the remnant of my people in every land whither I have driven them out, and will set them in their pasture, and they shall increase and be multiplied. So Yah says, you scattered them, and I have also scattered them, or I'm gonna scatter them, but I will gather them in. What I just said will become more clearer when we go back to the document, and I'll do some further explanation. But let's continue to read. And verse 4 says, And I will raise up shepherds, or leaders, to them, who shall feed them, and they shall fear no more, nor be alarmed, saith Yahoo. And again we jump to the iconic verses 5 through 6. Behold, the days come, saith Yahoo, when I will raise up to David a righteous branch, and a king shall reign and understand, and shall execute judgment and righteousness on the earth. In his days both Yahudah shall be saved, and Israel shall dwell securely. And this is his name, which Yahoo shall call him, Jozedek among the prophets. Already we're seeing where the name of the individual was revealed. Unlike the King James Version, which gives us a translation of the meaning of the name Yahoo, our righteousness. Verse 7 says, Therefore, behold, the days come, saith Yahoo, when they shall no more say, Yahoo lives, who brought up the house of Yashar out of the land of Egypt. But Yahoo lives was gathered the whole seed of Israel from the northland, and from all the countries whither he had driven them out, and has restored them into their own land. So this is going to be a prophecy. It's a future prophecy. Yeah, it's going to scatter them into the Babylonian captivity. The northern kingdom was already expelled from the land around 722 BCE, and the southern kingdom, the kingdom of Judah and Benjamin, followed afterwards around 586 BCE. So this is a future prophecy of what will happen to them. But Yah is going to restore his people in their entirety. That's why he's talking about the house of Israel and Judah. So it doesn't stop at one point in time when they return back to the land. It seems to have more far-reaching implications, but Yah's going to do a total gathering of his people, the entire house of Israel, and Judah, not just the house of Yehuda. Okay, but let's read on. Let's turn back to the document. So after reading the Septuagint, let's continue. After reading the Septuagint, we can easily determine that Yahu or righteousness was actually the translation of the name of an individual named Jazedek. We just saw that, okay? In the Greek, or Yahuzadak in Hebrew, he was that righteous branch referred to, but the translators, and I strongly believe, deliberately chose to leave out the name, but gave us instead the meaning of the name translated in English as a mean of deceiving the masses into believing that this was talking about JC. To add, and this is very important, when we read verse 5, it's actually making reference to the house of David and is not making a direct reference to King David as far as how it's translated. Because by this time King David was already dead a long time ago. He died around 970 BCE and this prophecy was around 609 BCE. So we're talking about 361 years after King David's death. So Yahuzadak was that righteous branch again that was raised up to head the priesthood. He is referred to as a king because the priesthood is always headed by the high priest having authority over the tribe of Levi. Yah always separate the rulership of the kingship of the land and that of the priesthood as two separate entities. However, they work together to bring about righteousness in the land, but unfortunately that was not always the case. So what we're seeing is that Yahuzadak, aka Jazedek, was chosen by Yah to be the forerunner to establish the continuity of the priesthood during the Babylonian captivity, and Bible Hubs gives us more detail about this. Just to mention, his son Yahusha became the high priest after the Babylonian captivity. And here the references pointing to Jazedek or Yahuzadak. We're going to refer to the Septuagint, which just did, and Bible Hub. Nonetheless, I'll put the links in the description. But before I say shalom, shalom, let's take a look at what Bible Hub, the information we're getting from Bible Hub, because we already looked at the Septuagint. But it says, Jazedek, also known as Yahuzadak, is a significant figure in the lineage of the Levitical priesthood during the period of the Babylonian exile. Its name, meaning Yahu is righteous, reflects a deep spiritual heritage and the divine calling of the priestly line from which he descended. Jazedek is primarily noted for being the father of Yahusha, the high priest, who played a crucial role in the restoration of the community of Yasharal and building and the rebuilding of the temple after return from exile. So we look at a genealogy and historical context. We're going to look at this. It said Jazedek was the son of Seraiah, the last high priest before the Babylonian conquest of Jerusalem. Seraiah was executed by Nebuchadnezzar's forces as recorded in 2 Kings 25:18 through 21. Marking a tragic end to his priestly service. Jazedek himself was taken into captivity to Babylon as mentioned in 1 Chronicles 6:15. Yahuzadak went into captivity when Yahu sent Yehuda and Jerusalem into exile by the hand of Nebuchadnezzar. And he says, during the Babylonian exile, the priestly line was preserved through Jazedek despite the absence of a functioning temple and the dispersion of the community of Yasharal. This period of captivity was a time of reflection and spiritual renewal for the Israelite, setting the stage for the eventual return to Jerusalem and the restoration of worship. And you can read the rest. I just wanted to give you some more depth about Jazedek and the importance he played in restoring the priesthood even after the Babylonian captivity to his son Yahusha. Again, the main focus here was reflected on Jeremiah chapters 23 verses 5 through 6, and it is clear from the evidence I'm presenting that this is in no way talking about JC, Yahawashi, whatever they want to call him. But that's how the translators flip the script and try to bring about deceit and wickedness. And Yah is the one that is putting forth his knowledge, wisdom, and understanding to his people. The question is, are we going to still remain and continue to be blind, or continue to be hold on to this idol worship and this wicked teaching of the New Testament? Are we as a people, are we going to continue doing this? I always say, yeah, he's doing a separation among his people to this very day, among the sheep and the goat. But with that, I just want to say all praises to Yah for bringing this information out. And I hope that anyone who see this will read and understand and see with much clarity that Yah's truth always comes shining through. And with that, I say Shabbat Shalom. Today is a Shabbat for 26/25. And also I just want to say Shalom Shalom to the family, and Yah willing, I will come forth with another video soon. Shalom.